This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Welcome into Jets at Noon. Tyson Rowicki in for Cam Poitras, along with Jim Toth.
Did Aaron just say minus 48? Minus 48, right?
Yeah, horrifyingly, minus 48.
Good.
Hey,
welcome to Winnipeg.
Exactly.
Welcome to Winnipeg, Florida Panthers.
Hold that thought for a second. Just some quick housekeeping. But this hour is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. And we're coming to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio, where saucy savings on pasta every day in January from only $11.99. And yeah, Jim, do you think there's like anything to that with the weather that do you think the Panthers are going to come in and let's just beat the brakes off these guys now? We have to come from Sunrise all the way to Winnipeg and minus 48. Those guys they're not prepped for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, for everybody who keeps pushing back that Chevy just needs to sign some guys.
Days like today aren't helping.
This season, off the ice, this whole winter, the blizzards, the snow, the highways closing, sell that to somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a winning franchise. We have a Hart Trophy winning goalie. We have a good core. Everybody loves it here that plays here. Everybody re-signs. Come on down to Winnipeg. How about that smoke?
Yeah.
Shout out to Willie Jefferson for signing today. But honestly, if you have options.
And there's no water park here.
And Anaheim's calling. And there's no rapid transit. Your water park is my rapid transit. Other than that, I love it here. The people are great.
I'm with you.
The city's awesome. There's 4 seasons. There's things to do in the winter. But sell this to somebody who has options.
Absolutely. And I born and raised here. I've never lived anywhere else. Even sometimes there's some days, and today's one of them, where you're like, geez Louise,
I just don't understand what the purpose is. No matter who your God is, what's the purpose, God? It's 48 degree minus 48. What does that do for nature?
Is it necessary? 40 enough? Is minus 40 enough?
They're selling rooms on the moon, Hal Anderson tells me. Is it that why? To get us acclimatized to the moon hotel rooms?
Hey, Jets at Noon from the moon has a nice ring to it.
Jets at Noon from the moon, brought to you by Super 8. Which I presume is the one that's building there. I don't know. Could be Fairmont or Delta.
Let's get to some Jets talk here.
And look, we don't care.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Somebody did ask me that today, and I just sloughed it off, right? It's hockey. They're going to play hockey and all that. But I wonder if, they're cranky and it throws them off a bit, or if they're the opposite, and I'm like, let's pound these guys.
Yeah.
Because they need to pay for minus 48.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. There are a couple lineup changes, it looks like. Cole Koepke will be back in the lineup on the fourth line with Morgan Barron and Tanner Pearson. Gus Nyquist will come out. And Elias Salamonson, it's going to take so long to get used to Elias instead of Elias.
Yeah.
So that's the way he prefers to go by now. Salamonson, he's coming in for Isaac Phillips, and Salamonson was on a pair with Dylan Sandberg during the morning skate. Thanks to Kelly Moore with those updates. So, I mean, I liked how Isaac Phillips was playing. Thought he was solid. Gus Nyquist, again, there's just nothing there. There really is just nothing there.
You're not a fan, I can tell.
No.
Cam isn't either. I get why they keep trying to run it out there. And I have seen him since his first healthy scratch play better, but it's results. And to be honest with you, Cole Koepke has outperformed him. I like Cole Koepke on that line. I think he performs well. He's put up some points. To me, it's not so much as there's nothing there. It's just this guy's playing better than you, and he's coming in.
He is playing better, but I mean, at least you're getting that jam. Regardless, if let's say neither of those guys are going to score, you're getting a little bit more jam out of Cole Koepke than
the
Gus
speed.
Nyquist.
He can move, right? For everybody who talks about the speed of the Jets, Cole Koepke can get up and down the ice, so he's one of the guys. So I don't mind that lineup at all. And Isaac Phillips I shouldn't say really impressed me. But I mean, think about this guy. He was traded for last January 16th, I believe, from Chicago. He was in the A at the time. He'd played 50 games in the National Hockey League, and he's come in and he's looked really good. And then the reason I like stories like this is because we all sit here and go, oh, the cupboards are bare, and Barlow's not ready, and Lambert's not ready. And other than that, there's nobody there. There's some pieces there. And, Isaac's one of them. I think that he could be a guy that Hayden Fleury at 27 earned himself an NHL contract.
Yeah.
I think Isaac Phillips can find a home, not necessarily here, but maybe here or somewhere else.
I'm just looking ahead to the future there, and hypothetically, say a Logan Stanley trade does happen at the deadline. There's your replacement for him, right? You don't have to go out and kind of...
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying.
Why would you trade Scott Niedermayer? What is going on?
I don't want to get too into it.
You would trade Niedermayer
6'7", 6'7" Scott Niedermayer?
Prime?
My gosh.
5'6", 120 pounds, never lifted a weight in my life. Scott Niedermayer. Skate like the wind, though. Skate like the freaking wind.
And a great tan.
2 strides.
Yeah.
No, 2 strides.
And I think Niedermayer was
outstanding playoff beard and a Hall of Fame.
One of my favorite players of all time. Him and Chris Pronger on the Ducks blue line.
I just like bringing it up because I that's the one name I can drop and actually pick up. Like I can actually, when I was covering the Kootenay Ice, he was part owner with Rob, and I got to know them, and he was great. This is 6 degrees of separation, and I know we're talking about me, and we shouldn't be on a game day, but I played, went to college and played sports. His now wife and girlfriend was on the basketball team.
Oh,
and they're great. So I met her in Lethbridge, and then when I ended up working in BC a couple of years later, ran into her and Scott and got to know Scott as a part of the owner of the. He's got some great stories about Lou Lamoriello in New Jersey in the heyday.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. That's like mob stories essentially. When you're talking about
so
Lou.
When Lou got to Toronto, people go, "You believe what Lou's doing?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." Actually, I've never met him, but anyway, we're going on and on. But Logan Stanley, so if there was a move made, I mean, even if Luke Shen is traded, right?
Yeah,
I think there's more of a likelihood that Luke Shen gets dealt, and if that is, Isaac Phillips could definitely. He's this year's Hayden Fleury to me. Like, I think he can play. It's only been 3 games, but the way he took that one for the team, I like the way they say they took it for the team too. Like, he didn't have an option. He didn't go out and take it.
Like, he threw, like sometimes when a guy goes to block a shot, and it's like sometimes you go a little too far out, and then your face is exposed. He comes off the draw and just sees the stick go up and just bang right into the.
I remember playing soccer and getting kicked in the junk, and the guy got a red card, and we ended up to win the game. And I was like, to take one for the team, Toth. I'm like, literally with ice there going, I didn't really go out and take it.
If I had to pick, I would not have done that.
He got mad. He wasn't even mad at me. He got mad at somebody. Just turned around and started punting, and I was like, I had to take one for the team, Isaac.
This surprises. You know what? I do want to mention this because I was a bit surprised about this, and I guess. They only play here once a year, but Paul Maurice hasn't won yet in Winnipeg since joining the Panthers. Do you think there's anything there, or is...
Some might say I didn't win when he was here either.
Oh. Hey, Paul, if you're listening, which I know you are, don't listen to Jim there.
There is a portion of the fan base that thinks Paul and I were buddies and used to come over and sit in my hot tub, and we would discuss strategy.
Well, not the hot tub, the sauna.
Well, I had a hot tub back then, but... no, look, this is what's fascinating about tonight's game, too, is obviously the Jets desperate, playing to the Stanley Cup champs, need to get a win, but they're not playing so well. I think the rigors, and not just the cap, because they had to lose a few people to keep the big pieces, but I think the rigors of going to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals and winning 2 of them is coming through this year. I mean, Tkachuk just got back to the lineup. But I think the daily grind of, I've always been told, from coaches and National Hockey League players, like the end of January, the first 2 weeks of February, that's your, like if you're in the playoffs, you're like, let's just get to the playoffs. If you're out of the playoffs and fighting, it's like a grind, and it's just that part of the season, right? Of an 82 game schedule. But I think they're going through the ringer this year. Like they're losing some games in fashions of like by big scores and getting blown out by some teams that they've had a ton of injuries too. But I think the rigors of just playing that much hockey over 3 years, Tampa Bay taught us that, right? Yeah. They went to 3 Stanley Cup finals, and then they had a season like this, and now they're back at it. By the way, we'll save this for a non-game day. Nobody's talking about Tampa Bay, and they should be. And I've been saying this to Cam since October, and he keeps saying, like, when they got points in 14 straight games, and he would say, "You're still in the Tampa Bay," and I'm like, "Yeah, if there's a team in the East that could take out the Colorados or the Edmontons or the Dallases, I think it's Tampa Bay."
They are. I mean, watch. I highly suggest whenever you have the chance, go watch a Tampa Bay game because they swing the puck around and they play a hard, fast style, and they don't even have Victor Hedman, and they're doing all this right now. Like,
and Radish has come in. Kelly Moore and I talked about this when Radish got the new deal, and I said he is quietly with Hedman going down. Just when opportunity knocks, we talk about that with the Jets and their injuries. Radish had taken full advantage of that.
He could get $9 million in the offseason.
Yeah,
like he's over a point per game.
Didn't he sign? He signed for 6 or something. But anyway, just it's I believe heavily in him, and
Still no extension as of right now for Darren Radish.
Sorry, they signed the other D-man. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he's been outstanding though.
Yeah, but Radish he's taken over that power play and just
over point per game.
Yeah.
He's had a really, really good year. But back to the Panthers, that's a great point that you brought up though, Jim, about the schedule and with the Olympic condensed schedule as well. Like these guys have gone through 3 straight long playoff runs, and now you're playing every second night because of the Olympics. And then a bunch of those guys are going to go to the Olympics, play for their countries there, then come back to again a condensed schedule. Like they're in tough here.
You know, the good and the bad of social media. The bad is they partied hard.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not oblivious to the fact that Stanley Cup Champions partied. I don't get me that, but I don't think Crosby partied. I think Crosby not that hard and for that long.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I'm not begrudging them anything. Who am I to judge or anything like that? Because I love a good party too. I'll be honest with you, but they. Like there was a month after the season, they were still in each other's pools and stuff. And I like the Patrice Bergerons of the world. I don't think celebrated that hard, stuff like that. So interesting story about Crosby and McKinnon. Like McKinnon said that he got after it at Sydney Stanley Cup parties in the summer, and then Sydney didn't. Like didn't even ever. But when McKinnon had his, then Sydney got after it. Like that's how you do it. Doesn't do it at his own, but does it at somebody else's. So. But anyway, I think it's a fascinating game tonight. You know, the Paul Maurice storyline and everything like that. I don't buy into a lot of those things like the weather, but I don't know if it makes him grouchy or whatever. Good.
Hey, maybe the joints are a little tighter getting off the plane.
We talked about that on the podcast, so go stay tuned for that. But the lineup, you know, they got to keep winning. They got to keep grabbing some points. Like we said yesterday, I don't even look at the St. Louis win. It was on back-to-backs, and you'd been shut out. And the fashion in which you lost to Toronto, it's been a couple of days. Just get into that game, get the win. They did, move on. But tonight, you can judge how they play, I think. It's not a back-to-back. They've had an off day. This is the Stanley Cup champs. You got to play your system. You got to get the forecheck going. And Paul Maurice knows that, right?
Yeah.
Paul Maurice knows this team better than anybody else.
And no Brad Marchand for the Panthers tonight. No,
that's a shame.
No Barkov, of course, as he's still dealing with the knee injury from the beginning of training camp. And no Seth Jones, who was placed on LTIR not too long ago.
He'll miss it. We talk about this on the podcast, so if you want to listen to that, but not this particular, but injuries at the Olympics, and now no Seth Jones at the Olympics.
Yep, Jackson Lacombe taking his spot. There was a lot of controversy because a lot of people thought Lane Hudson maybe should have gotten it,
or Adam Fox if he's healthy.
a lot of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see, but Florida's decor, I mean, the forward group, you look at the lines and they're still stacked. I mean, Luosterainen, Lundell, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Tkachuk is still an unbelievable top 6, and you're missing two guys in the top 6 there. But the decor is where things get a little hairier for the Panthers here, and it's Forsling and Ekblad, Nico Mikkola, and Juvis Balinskis. Mikkola is expected to play today. He got banged up in their last game, but he is expected to play. And Balinskis has been a little under the radar guy. They always seem to find a guy that kind of no one really knows about, and then come playoff time, they're like, who's this guy they got on their team? And then he's making $5-6 million with another team the year after. But Jeff Petrie and Tobias Bjornfot on the bottom pairing have not been good for Florida so far this year. So there is some opportunity on that back end to kind of, if you can get a good forecheck in, get some good pressure going, they're going to have a hard time getting the puck out of the zone, Jim. But quickly here.
So this is a great matchup in my mind, and it comes down to one thing. You got to outwork this Florida team. If you outwork them, I think you got a chance to win. And if not, you got to fight Bobrovsky.
How awesome would that be?
Hellebuyck and Bobrovsky.
And it's just like that standoff, because Bobrovsky didn't even grab Nedeljkovic. He was just throwing like jabs at range. Yeah. He was trying to pick his shots.
What do you think Hellebuck's like in a fight?
Just straight jersey over the head and then just bring down.
I think he uses
his
arm lengths to keep him at arm lengths, and then he just lets one fire.
Or like a spinning back fist, like a UFC move. No. Superman punch?
No. I think he's calm, cool, collected, gets his hair out of his eyes while he's holding them off, and then looks up, like does the old look away, and bam.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, you know what, Jim? It's a Thursday. Oh, I wanted to mention John Gibson. He's on a bit of a run. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll be right back with more.
Free John Gibson.
Right after this.
He's been freed.
Thank you, Aaron. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash on 690 St. Anne's Road. We'll read the VIP text in our next segment here. And we're also coming to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. Saucy savings on pasta every day in January from only $11.99. Jim, how about we jump right into it here and get the perspective from the other side? And joining the program right now is George Richards, Florida Panthers Insider and publisher of Florida Hockey Now. George, thanks so much for taking the time to be here.
No problem. How's it going?
Good. Not too bad. How are you enjoying? How are you enjoying this temperature?
It's Mr. Richards to you. This guy's a legend.
That's fair. My apologies, sir.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Good to have you back on the program, George. It's been a while.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. Are you in Winnipeg or back home?
No, I can't handle those kind of things.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just heard the weather report, and it's like it feels like minus 40. What?
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I know as great as you are how much affection you have for our winters. So I appreciate that.
Oh man, I've been up there in October. The times I've been to Winnipeg, it's been October, November, even in December. It's beautiful. I love Winnipeg, but yeah, January, I just can't. Yeah.
So George,
I'm stuck here.
So George, somebody asked me that today. Would the Panthers be grouchy tonight? Would they be like, let's make them pay for this, or would they be off their game? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's pro hockey. Once the puck drops, they're good to go. But then I walked into the building today, and I was like, I don't know. If I'm from Florida, this is cutting pretty deep right now.
I think some of them are probably enjoying it. I think they were all excited to break out. You saw the guys getting on the plane yesterday with the big heavy coats. I think they were happy to be able to break them out and have use for them. So I don't know. I think some of them might actually enjoy it. Now, the guys like Aaron Ekblad, who have become pseudo Floridians, yeah, I'm sure he's a little grumpy. But Paul Maurice is digging it. I know that. Other guys are probably like, man, this is awesome.
We're looking at the standings, George, and watching this team play, and injuries have been such a major part to how they compete and what they've gotten accomplished so far this year. Chuck's just back. But I can't help but think, going to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, this team's fighting it a little bit after playing that much hockey.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Well, maybe. Listen, with as many injuries as the Panthers have had, I would think it would be an obvious conclusion to say, hey, maybe they're wore out and stuff. But these have been structural injuries. These haven't been like hamstrings and stuff, from overuse. I mean, Sasha Barkov, his knee crumpled, right? I mean, that probably wasn't from playing too much high. It just his knee was messed up. And Aaron Ekblad with the stuff that happened last year at the Four Nations, and Dmitry Kulikov wrecks his shoulder. You've got Seth Jones with a collarbone. It hasn't helped Florida. It hasn't helped them as far as, depth goes and things like that, because they have played so much hockey. They've been to the Stanley Cup Finals the past 3 years. They played more hockey than anybody in a 3-year stretch in NHL history. And yeah, that is going to wear on you. But some of these injuries have just been stuff, that long-term stuff that I don't think it has anything to do with them playing a lot of hockey. It's just bad timing and one of those kind of things. When you look at Brad Marchand, he's like Paul Maurice said the other day, one of our first short-term injuries. This is his 6th game he's going to miss. So it had, or 7th game, whatever. So even, the short-term guys are missing good chunks of time.
And George, outside of injuries, what are some of the other concerns that are plaguing this team right now, and why they see themselves sitting 5 points out of a playoff spot?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the injuries, especially on the defensive side of the puck. You look at Florida's goalie situation. You look at the stats of the goalie, not the situation, but you look at the statistics. The other night, Sergei Bobrovsky gave up 3 goals within 6 minutes of the second period starting against the San Jose Sharks, and they were all off rebounds, pucks just not getting cleared. Florida's really hurting defensively, depth-wise. Nico Mikkola left the game early. You've got Dmitry Kulikov, who I mentioned, was out. Seth Jones is out. They haven't been able to protect the puck as much as they like. And, if you've watched Florida in the playoffs the past couple of years, what makes them successful is that strong, heavy forecheck where they just bring it at you. They bring it after you, right? Like a wave, and they just don't have the depth to do it. They just don't have the bodies to do it. and they just can't play the way that has made them successful. At least right now, they can't.
And I just wanted to ask as well, you mentioned some of those injuries there, but with the Barkov injury in particular, it's allowed a guy like Anton Lundell to step up. Outside of him, is there anyone else on this Florida team that's kind of stepped up in some of these absences?
Evan Rodriguez certainly has. He's taken over the third-line center role behind Anton Lundell and Sam Bennett. Evan Rodriguez is a guy, a lot of people know him. He's played on a couple teams. He had some big moments for the Panthers in the playoffs the past couple years, but he has really solidified Florida's third line, playing, a lot with different guys. And he's really stepped to the forefront. You look at AJ Greer. Here's a guy that was a scratch for the first couple weeks of the playoffs last year. Got a chance to play, had some big moments. He's got career highs and everything this year for Florida, and he's playing up on the second, third line right now. So they've had a couple guys who have had to play a bigger role. Uvis Balinskis, the defenseman that Florida got a few years back, has had to step in and play some big minutes for Seth Jones. So there have been guys who have done a really good job stepping up for Florida. But there's just been so many holes to fill. It's just hard to do it.
The Evan Rodriguez I remember could stand up for himself. He didn't need Sergei Bobrovsky to do it for him. That was interesting.
That was wild, wasn't it? I mean, I think everybody's seen the highlights of that. Yeah.
How's that resonating?
Sergei was thought, he thought that Nedeljkovic just crossed the line by going after Evan Rodriguez, and here comes Superman Bobrovsky, and it was quite humorous. Matthew Tkachuk yesterday called him Bob Ali.
Speaking of that, the two questions is after all this hockey and his age and everything, how has Bobrovsky been this year? And the second part of that, George, is how much have they missed Tkachuk, not just, on the ice, but stuff like that, Bob Ali?
Yeah, I'll talk about Tkachuk first. You miss him, obvious. I mean, what he brings to the team is just not really replaceable because he's kind of Sasha Barkov is the captain, and you're missing him. You've been missing him since the first real day of training camp, right? But you're also missing the vocal captain of the Panthers, and that's Matthew Tkachuk. So you're missing both your real captain and your pseudo captain, and that he's just tough to replace. We know what he can do on the ice. He's just a pest everywhere. He really helps your power play, things of the sort. So you're missing him on the ice, but you're also missing him off the ice. It's been, the Panthers have all said they've loved having him back in the room. He's been practicing with the team now since, late December, since around Christmas time. So he's been around, so that's been a nice boost. As far as Bobrovsky goes, I think he's played a lot better than his statistics are going to show. He had to wear that 9-goal game the other night in Carolina. None of that was his fault. When it was 3-1 going into the third, I had him as one of the 3 stars of the night. He was just absolutely spectacular until the dam broke. I think Sergei Bobrovsky has been good. He's, listen, I don't think anybody's given him any grief. He doesn't care about the numbers. All he cares about are the wins, and he's got 19, 20 of those right now. So, he'd like to have more, and I think we're going to see a lot more of Bobrovsky before the Olympic break. Daniil Tarasov is going to start tonight, I assume, for Florida. That's the word on the street. But we're going to see a lot of Sergei Bobrovsky leading into the Olympic break, and then I don't know what will happen. It depends on where Florida's at, but they rely on him. He was their guy, man. The last 3 years, he has been the guy in the playoffs. And if the Florida Panthers can get back to the postseason, he is going to be heavily counted on again.
And lastly here, George, Paul Maurice has yet to win in Winnipeg with the Panthers. Yeah. In previous seasons, maybe you don't need that motivation as much, but especially with this one, with where they're at, is this maybe a game where he goes, hey, boys, I didn't want to bring this up, but I kind of need a win here, so let's go out and get it tonight.
This might be the one where he pulls that card, right? Because I don't think he did it the first 3 times because, he's just so happy to be back in Winnipeg. We all know, what that town means to him and that area means to him, and he just, it's like he's got to, but they need a win. I mean, they just really do, and they need to get this road trip off to a good start because this is a tough one for Florida. This is Winnipeg, a place where they haven't won in a long time. Then you go to Minnesota with a back-to-back in Chicago. I mean, you've got three teams. It's a tough one for Florida. 3 games in 4 days against teams that they don't fare well against usually on the road. So, I think you're right. I think he pulls that ticket out of his pocket today and says, boys, get her done for me.
That is Mr. George Richards.
Thank you.
Florida Panthers insider and publisher of Florida Hockey Now, and the living legend in the hockey media world. George, thanks so much Thanks so much for taking the time for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Good hearing from you guys. Be good now. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You too, George. Thanks. One of the good guys.
All right.
Talked to George for years. Yeah, all the best. And, of course, Winnipeg will be going down there next week.
Yeah, maybe might have to head down there after this cold.
Call an audible and say, let's play down there this week and then come back.
The snowbirds are calling, baby.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I said this to somebody this morning that was asking me about the weather. I was in our production meeting. I said, the only player that I really talked to who brought it up was Sidney Crosby. And he mentioned that it's always good to be back in Canada and stuff. But he plays in Pittsburgh, right? So I found that was odd. I'm like, Pittsburgh's not the warmest city, but he's like, it's not like this.
Yeah.
But he goes, I miss Canadian winters. I always have. And so he walked from the hotel outside to the rink that day. This was a couple of years ago.
It is interesting, too, because Trevor Zegras mentioned, when he was in Anaheim and he got traded to Philly, he was like, it's so nice just to have seasons again. He said that he was getting seasonal depression.
And somebody brought that up in our meeting. I'm going to delve into this on my show after 1 o'clock about just the cold and how you deal with it and if you want the seasons and all that. And there's something to be said for that, right? Like Florida is always nice. There's mainly 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But I more often than not, I don't think this would throw the guys off at all because it's something different, right? And much like we get out of here during the winter to go someplace hot for a week, a lot of Manitobans, this is for them, this is hockey weather. Let's get after it. I don't know if this much cold is hockey weather, but that's what when somebody asked me today, I said, Crosby was the only guy who said, they either take the bus or they walk on the walkway. And he's like, I walked outside today. I think it was minus 28 that day or 22 or something. And he was like, I like Canadian winters and I miss it. So I walked outside.
We'll take a break. And when we come back, Jim, there was something that happened yesterday in the NHL and I just shake my head at it. And we'll look at that. We'll talk about the Panthers game. 204-780-6868. We have one texter texting in here saying Hellebuyck must have close to the longest reach of any goalie in the NHL. He's got to be up there. Ben Bishop in his heyday, though, would have had him. And then Linda on the text line also says, love Paul Am, best coach we ever had. Still no idea why the Jets wouldn't play for him. Interesting.
Well, Kelly Moore is in the scrum. We'll have this audio in the pregame show, but he just asked Paul Maurice about the Alumni game and roster. And Paul Maurice said, did they get a hold of Buff? And then he had, really? Is he coming? So
wait, we'll try and find that audio quick before we wrap up. Yeah. But we are coming to you live from the Boston Pizza Studio, where it's Pasta Tuesday every day this January from only $11.99. Hungry for saucy savings? Hungry for BP? We'll be right back.
Jets at noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
46.
Did they get a hold of Buff?
They did.
Really? Is he coming?
He's in.
Yeah, he's training right now. Yeah. He's training for that game. I know it.
Yeah. But just
that was Paul Maurice there, of course, with hearing the news about Buff being in town.
I love the way Wheeler said that. Surprisingly, he was all in right away. But we'll see.
Yeah,
because it's in October.
We'll see. That's a major one. But Jim, really quickly before we wrap up, and we got, my apologies to everyone that texted in here. We didn't get to as many as we wanted to, and that's on me. But free for all tomorrow, we will absolutely take everything and anything. But Jim, really quickly before we head out, do want to mention something happened last night, and it gave me flashbacks to way, early 2000s. So let's take a listen to it here.
To the point, kept in by Sergachev, but then taken by Grabenkin. Grabenkin with a pass. He's got Hathaway with the empty net in front of him. Hathaway is stripped from behind. He is stripped from behind.
Garnet Hathaway of the Flyers had a wide open breakaway on an empty net, and I don't know what happened, if his brain just went to autopilot, but he started coasting. Nick Schmaltz picks the puck off, and a minute later, the Utah Mammoth tie the game up and then win it in overtime. It's like, I said this to you earlier, but it's like when guys drop the ball before the goal line. It's like, how many times does this have to happen before someone goes, hey guys, let's just make sure at the beginning of the year, none of us do this.
You're so fired up because it was the Flyers, right?
I am fired up.
Any other team you'd be laughing, but now you're mad.
I stayed up last night to watch the game, and I'm laying in my bed with my phone, and I'm like, oh, game's over. I'm about to turn it over the phone, and then I get the, oh, no, he stripped them. And like, oh, they're totally losing this now.
Forecheck, back check, paycheck.
You know what?
That was a great back check.
You had it all and you blew it.
It was a great back check, but it also reminds me of this, Jim. Patrick Stefan.
Oh.
Noted bust. And I watched the video today, and we're not going to play the whole audio, but I want to play
Is this
one.
how you make yourself feel better about it?
Absolutely. And Ray Ferraro here is an absolute gem when he's describing this play.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Patrick Stefan, you should be embarrassed for what you just did. That does not belong in the National Hockey League. And then the puck is turned over.
You would think it would be like when, was it Chris Nealon two-handed Brashear in the head?
Oh.
That's what it sounds like there. Not that he missed
Or
it.
Dale Hunter in the playoffs when he ran Turgeon into the boards.
Oh, yeah. That was
ruined
bad.
his shoulder.
The poor Sammy Kapanen, too.
Yeah.
When there's a couple bad ones. But I honestly feel like
that's a shame.
I feel like he got too much slack for that one, Stefan.
I mean, empty net goals aren't as like even Bedard against the Jets on Monday, like put it top shelf bar down on the empty netter, and then he was like, when he went to his teammates, he's like, I almost missed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you miss that and the Jets tie it, right?
And if you go back and watch that, it's not like he's like dangling like a breakaway and he's showboating. He's literally just skating up.
He was one skating it in with one hand. He should have just shot. No,
he should have. I mean, he absolutely should have shot it. But like the bounce is so 1 in a million.
It's a big one tonight. They're all big at this point
Absolutely.
of the season. But
yeah, no, the Jets need to get this one. And watch the game tonight, everyone, and then bring us your opinions tomorrow. Free for all Friday.
Free for all Friday. Pregame with Kelly Moore. We'll have more of the Paul Maurice audio, which is always great on the pregame show just after 5, and then puck drop at 7. Look forward to it.
Absolutely. Special thanks to Jeffrey Fortier for making the show go. We'll be back same time
like
tomorrow.
a beacon of freedom.
See ya.
He's the John Wick of CJOB.
Don't hurt his dog. Back with more Jets at noon right after this.